Hello, happy Monday, everyone. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you had a great weekend. I definitely did. Russ and I enjoyed time in Red Lodge, a beautiful little mountain town in Montana, and I'm just so thankful for our wonderful friends and congregants who gifted us a night in their cabin. I also am just grateful for the time and the opportunity to participate in the Out of Darkness suicide prevention walk that happened yesterday in Billings. I know they raised $95,000, and it was a wonderful event that raised awareness and raised a lot of money for programming and resources for suicide prevention in Yellowstone County. So whatever you did this weekend, I hope that it was wonderful. And I hope that today you enjoyed the nice, cool fall weather. I wanted to share one of my favorite Bible verses, and I wanted to give a devotion on that Bible verse tonight because of some conversations that I have been having. And they have to do with overcomplicated legalism in the church and the importance of simplifying our faith. So that's kind of the big picture of tonight's Devo. I am heartbroken by the amount of people who are leaving the church in droves. There is a mass exodus. I've talked about this before. I've talked about this in sermons, of people who are done with church. Capital T, capital C. So not necessarily my local church or your local church, but the church in general. And two conversations I had this weekend really pointed to another issue that I think is plaguing the church right now, and that's legalism. Overcomplicating the gospel, overcomplicating our faith, and making it very, very difficult to follow. So one friend was talking about joining a church and how they decided not to join the church because that particular church made it so difficult to join. They had to take a 2-year class. There was like a list of pages and pages of rules that they had to follow and various things that they had to make sure that they met expectations. And if they didn't meet them, they would be kicked out from the church and their membership would be revoked. This person wasn't able to do really much of anything, volunteer, anything, without becoming a member. And they were lamenting the ridiculousness of people and humans making all of these rules when all they wanted to do was just follow Jesus. And I kept thinking, man, that inspires a very important devotional, right? All I wanted to do was just follow Jesus. Why does everything have to be so complicated? I talked with another friend who I have known since high school, and this friend has been burnt out by the church and has gone to the church their entire life, has decided to walk away and take a break, maybe for a while, maybe forever. And the amount of rules, shame, legalism, and scare tactics that have been used on them has gotten to the point where they're just done. And this person told me church has become, and the culture of the church has become so much of what we're against than what we're for. And I am sick of telling other people in the wider community that I am a Christian when we are known for all of the hatred and the things that we're against than what we are for. And so I woke up this morning and I was like, I have got to give this devotional. We are overcomplicating things, friends. We are. And I think it is a very normal human thing to do. And it reminds me of the prophet Micah. So Micah was living in a time where the Israelites were struggling. Their hearts were far from God. They had clung to their religion because of the rules and the rituals no one could keep. It was all just going through the motions and then feeling bad about themselves. and their hearts were really hardened. And this broke God's heart because God ultimately just wanted a relationship with them. Like, God wants to be with his children. God wants to have a relationship with his kids. And so for generations, the Israelites were legalistic, trying to please God by following the rules and their religious sacrifices and their rituals, and it had nothing to do with that relationship with God. And so Micah, the prophet Micah, says in one of my favorite Bible verses, Micah 6:8, "What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God." What does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. This verse reminds me of the Jesus Creed, when Jesus is asked, well, what are the greatest commandments? And he says to love the Lord your God with all of your heart and your mind and your soul, and to love your neighbor as yourself. All of the commandments hang on these two laws. And this kind of reminds me of that in the old, like, this is an Old Testament version of that, because this is the simplified version of our faith. This is truly like, this is the bullet points, the spark notes, the bumper sticker of what does it look like to just follow God, to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with the Lord. Now, I know that there are, of course, people who are like, well, we can't oversimplify things. We can't oversimplify our faith. We need to add hundreds and hundreds of rules, right? But that is causing people to turn away and to forget the real purpose, the why, which is to grow in relationship with God and to grow in relationship with each other. I think when we get so set in the rules, we can lose sight of what is really important. So I want to make a note of something interesting. There's actions involved in the three things that the prophet Micah says: to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with God. But all of the requirements involve a softening of heart and a humility and a teachability. So we cannot enact justice if we have resentment or bitterness or hate, and we cannot show kindness if we are self-serving and selfish. If we've got prideful hearts, we will walk ahead of God instead of walking with God or following God. And so if you're in a place where you're feeling like things have just gotten overcomplicated, if you're in a church that has a giant binder handbook of all the things that you have to make sure to do to become a member, maybe that's not your church. Just a thought. So I understand why rules are in place, and I understand that it is important to follow the commands of God, but I also think it's really, really easy for us to get caught up in that ritual and the legalism and forget about the relationship. So let's hit the reset button, simplify our faith a little bit. Maybe let's just go back to our why, our original why. Why did you become a Christian? What was the pull for you in the first place? And kind of go back to that childlike faith of not overcomplicating everything as much as we've kind of made it. So blessings to you all. I pray that we would all follow Micah 6:8, and that we would do justice, love mercy, and walk humbly with God. Bye.